Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? ADS Play 101 here, World Warriors Collective, of course, Fly High Warriors. That's my new slogan, Fly High Warriors. You know, it's the World Warriors Collective. You see that right there, yeah. That's whatever. You can't even see it that good. Vision blurry, camera blurry. Got to get me a new gaming laptop so I can do these live streams better. But anyways, on with a little bit of gaming news because I'm trying to get back in the habit of doing these things. And what perfect timing because I look on Twitter and I see that Yoshiro Ono is, the guy who basically developed the Street Fighter franchise, tweeted this picture of what you see Ryu's glove doing a Shoryuken into the number 6, and you see PS5 at the bottom. Basically, this is an official announcement that we are getting Street Fighter 6 officially on the PS5 in 2020 when the PS5 releases. I don't know if it's going to be a launch title, but it is coming next year on the system, more than likely. Now, with that being said, obviously there's some concerns for people who played Street Fighter V, myself, a lot of the professional guys that you know to see in like the tournament scene for Street Fighter and things like that. This game needs to be a big upgrade from what Street Fighter V was, and I'm saying that myself, along with everything that has been said already for Street Fighter V since it's been released. There's several things that need to get checked off this list. First thing, no one button combos. No, in fact, let me say that for later because I actually got a point I want to make. But there needs to be more balanced characters in the game. You know, I understand that some characters are going to be made different than others. Some characters are going to be more difficult to use than others. Some characters are going to be easier to use than others. It's just the nature of every fighting game. You know, you got to be able to tell the difference and create different styles for different play styles that are out there. You know, some people like to play hit and run games. Some people like to be up and close and rush down. Some people like to play the distance game. You know what I mean? It's just different styles. So I'm hoping that whatever new characters come in Street Fighter V, they help implementing those styles because they kind of failed with Fong, which is one of the new faces of Street Fighter that they implemented into a character, and it didn't work out too good because people barely played them. You barely see them in like any tournament play. Overall, it was just a bad idea. Secondly, we got to be able to close the skill gap, organically, not artificially, because a lot of these characters are just OP, and they, again, going back to, certain characters being good and other characters being bad. Even with, the different play styles, you don't have to make certain characters so terrible that, they're nearly unplayable. You got characters like Karin, characters like Rashid, who are damn near plus on everything. And then, for those of you who understand frame data, who are plus on everything. And then you got characters like Urian, as well as a few other characters who is damn near minus on just their basic moves. You know what I mean? And it makes it more difficult to use them to the point where it's just questionable, And even though they tried to make a comeback and tried to fix things and rebalance things, it's still, even low tier characters should have options against top tier characters. And basically, that's what I would like to see in Street Fighter 6. I would like to see that even characters who may be on the bottom tier list, they still have playable options against characters that are considered the meta. So that's one thing. Second thing, obviously, we want better stages, better music. That's always a good one. Improve the graphics, of course. That's always going to be a gimme. Make sure that the controls and the mechanics of Street Fighter V don't get implemented in Street Fighter 6. That's one thing, because Street Fighter V, and this is for anybody that ever played Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter 2, every iteration of that on the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. For those of us who played Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 4, and every iteration of that, because they made so many Street Fighter. Yeah. and Street Fighter Five. You know, Street Fighter Five, it just feels like a different game, like a weird, like it's not Street Fighter. It's just a mixture. Because I understand that these days they're making fighting games for people who don't know how to play fighting games, and that's the God honest truth. And you can tell by how they made Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and several other fighting games overall, not just Capcom, but it's just fighting games overall has just taken this weird turn to be made for people who don't even play fighting games like that. So, or at all. And I understand that, you know, as a business move, they're going to try to bring in or try to add elements into the game to bring in new customers and bring in new clientele for themselves so that they can sell DLC, sell the game, and, you know what I'm saying, get the sales up there. But at the same time, don't ignore your core fan base that made Street Fighter what it is. So much to the point to where the game just feels foreign. You know, numerous people have said, even, you know, reputable names again in the tournament scene, as well as anybody that's ever played this game, knowing what the past Street Fighter games have been and experience. This is the worst Street Fighter. You know, Street Fighter Five was the worst Street Fighter game they've ever played. You know, even Daigo, somebody who's been playing Ryu in the tournament scenes since forever. You know what I mean? So to see him at a time, he dropped Ryu because Ryu was created so bad that he couldn't play him. So he ended up moving on to Guile. You know, so it's just one of those what the fuck situations to where I hope these problems don't move into Street Fighter 6. Now, again, something I wanted to touch on earlier, one button combos. I know this is like the premiere when I mentioned earlier about adding elements into the game, into fighting games these days that are in there just to attract new people. This is not one of those things that I really don't want, because I've been one of the few people, even though, you know, my name don't ring bells like that, obviously, but if you look at past videos where I've spoken on one button combos, even going back to my original ADS Play 101 channel, I've made several videos consistent with me consistently saying that one button combos does not close the skill gap. And I remember I went on this rant about that. I don't even remember everything I said. I was just speaking from the heart in that video. But one button combos are a cancer to fighting games. And I will stand on that because you're not closing the skill gap by making things so easily accessible. You can't tell the difference between people that can actually play the game versus people who, I mean, obviously, if you are experienced, you know, there's always going to be advanced tactics and things like that. But when you make it so easy for people to access something as little as a combo, you know what I mean? That's crazy because it kind of spits in the face of people that, you know, been playing fighting games for X amount of years, and it's just like, I'm gonna put it like this. I'm just using this as a reference just to get you to understand what I mean. There was this event, and I can't remember what the name of it was. I think it was called like Shokuteki 6 or something like that. But regardless, it was featuring Daigo, and it was him going up against 100 people. Now Daigo, again, he's the face of Street Fighter. For Daigo had his own era in like the fighting game scene at one point. They actually named, you know, when Street Fighter 3 Third Strike got re-released, there was a tournament, you know, years ago where him and Justin Wong were going against each other in the finals, and he, you know, Daigo was using Ken at the time, and Justin Wong was using Chung Li. Justin Wong did Chung Li's lightning kick super in the game, and Daigo ended up blocking the entire move and actually went on to win that match. And I think that won him the entire, you know, that got him the championship. You know, like he won the event off of that. But that he had an era where that was called the Daigo parry. So much so that when they re-released Street Fighter 3 Third Strike online, they actually had these trials that they put in the game, almost like a challenges, and they actually have that parry in there as a trial. So that's kind of like paying homage to one of the great moments that he made, and he had other great moments as well. But, you know, just to put just to get back to Street Fighter 4 in this Shokuteki 6 situation, it was like Daigo versus 100 random people, and he won that. Nobody was able to beat him. So you mean to tell me that somebody who's that good in Street Fighter is losing to other people who just picked up Street Fighter 5? Like, you know what I mean? Like people who don't really play fighting games like that for real. And I don't know. It's just one of those things that's just like they put these things to cater to people who are doing random things rather than people who knows how to play fighting games, and it's favoring that. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping Street Fighter 6 steps far away from that. Even though if I didn't articulate things the way I wanted to, hopefully you understand the thought that I'm trying to get across. Street Fighter 5 had a lot of mistakes, and I'm just hoping that with Street Fighter 6 they heard, listened, and paid attention to everything that people were saying, whether it be online, whether it be from reputable names in the fighting game community, reputable names in the tournament scene, getting away from the revenge mechanics system, and overall just making this a better, a more of a game that actually feels like Street Fighter. And that's all you can really hope for. So any new characters they bring in, I hope they added, they don't make characters so OP and make other characters so weak. I hope they actually implement some things that you can tell the men from the boys, if you get my drift. They just really need to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes that they made with Street Fighter 5 with this game. So that's pretty much all I got to say, man. And going back to the one button push combos, I remember when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out, and there was several other games that came out in between, even a little bit before then, where Street Fighter 5 was a concern because when all these other games came in, all of them were starting to implement one button push combos, and I was like, oh man, you know what? If they're selling games with one button push combos, and these were other Capcom games, again, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I don't know if this was a thing in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because I didn't play it. I didn't hear from anybody else, but I'm hoping that wasn't the case with Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But it was other games before then, before Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was released. I can't remember which ones in particular, but it became more prominent when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out, that the one button combo system was implemented. And I was telling people, we had discussions on Facebook and Discord and other platforms as well, that they're going to try to sneak in one button combos in Street Fighter. People was telling me like, no, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're never going to put one button combos in Street Fighter. And this is not counting, Chun-Li's lightning kick or E Honda's 100 hand slap. Those are special moves. I'm talking about full actual combos. And they tried to sneak it in with Cody. When Cody came in as DLC, that he has a combo where it's just one button push. Now, even though it's not damaging, it's just the fact that they're trying to get people used to that in Street Fighter, and that's going to be crazy. And one of my big concerns is they're actually going to have a character in Street Fighter 6 that has a one button combo mechanic. And that's going to be like scary because Street Fighter is like one of the flagship fighting games, and to see that taking a turn to where it's catering to, Street Fighter 5 was bad enough, but that's just going to be another step down for fighting games as a whole, because Tekken started fighting because Tekken 7 that began following Street Fighter, and they got used to that, and they were trying to get people used to the idea of Tekken characters having supers because of that whole Tekken Cross Street Fighter game. Like, you see what I mean? And then, of course, Namco, they made Tekken, so of course they implemented the same thing in Soul Calibur, which was kind of like a downside as well, because Soul Calibur and Tekken, these are games that had their own identities. The closest thing you had to a super in those two games were, unblockables, which were, easily avoided. And if you got hit by it or caught off guard with it, that was on you. But other than that, you know, those games, they, for some reason, stay true to their self to an extent, but we don't want to see any major changes like what happens with those games. You know what I mean? Like what happened with those games. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that the message begins to get out there for whatever it's worth. I would like to see Street Fighter 6 become Street Fighter again. You know, so that's where I'm at with it, and hopefully they don't mess this up. I look forward to seeing any further announcements, and I will be doing videos on it as well. So that being said, guys, thank you guys for watching. Peace, and I'll see you guys next time. So until then, be humble in victory, be gracious in defeat, but show no mercy in battle. ADS Play 101, World Warriors Collective, out.